The Book of Hebrews. The Jewish church of the first century entered a grave phase of apostasy after an enthusiastic beginning. Quite a few denied Christ and returned to Judaism, the unpardonable offense. In order to stem the tide of apostasy, the Apostle Paul responds with the greatest Christological treatise aimed at the Jewish believers. Hebrews employs language akin to Leviticus, which deals with blood sacrifices, sin, and priesthood. This epistle is not easy to grasp for non-Jewish readers. The term better unlocks the whole book of Hebrews. Christ is better than the angels, Moses, prophets, Aaronic priesthood, animal sacrifices, and Sabbath. He is the mediator of a better covenant. He is a minister of the heavenly tabernacle. Christ is portrayed in ultimate and magnificent terms. First, he is the Creator Son, the very Yahweh of the first chapters of the book of Genesis. As a result, he is the lawful heir of all things because he made all things. Jews were aware of a few instances of God's glory appearing in the Old Testament. These theophanies were the ultimate display of God's majesty. The apostle reveals that the striking splendor of God's glory is Christ himself in his glory, since he is identical with the Father in his divine nature. The fundamental premise is that God reveals himself in the Son. In John chapter 4, Christ said to Phillip, one of his disciples, that whoever saw him saw the Father. The Jews' proclivity toward the adoration of holy places or people, such as the temple or the glory of Moses and angels, necessitated the apostle's response in Hebrews. Paul describes Christ's character as the glorious Son who not only created everything, but also sustains all things by the word of his power. His word is power, not a mere sound. The Jews, likely influenced by Greek philosophy, believed that the universe is infinite and self-maintained. Paul had to correct this egregious error. The apostle also reminds the Jews that the Son made purification for sins, not repeated temple sacrifices. Then, he sat down at the right hand of the Majesty on high. The Majesty on high is another name for God himself as the highest infinite being in the universe. So, the Son sat down at the right hand of God from where he had come. When the Son sat down, the work of salvation was finished and accepted by God. The whole epistle to the Hebrews is a comparison and contrast between the glory of Christ and his finished work at the cross versus the entire Judaic system, which became completely obsolete after Christ's ascension. But the Jews did not accept the truth of Christ's finished work, so this epistle provides the best possible corrective defense. Hebrews contains the most severe threats in the New Testament, besides those in the book of Revelation. Application. Like the Jews, we too become caught up in religious exercises and experiences, losing sight of the preeminence of Christ over our denominational particularities. There is a time in the life of all believers when we must switch from a superficial, folkloric approach to studying the Word to a serious exegesis of the text, which will reward us with outstanding depictions of Christ and a richer understanding of his character and grace.